Welcome to the final lecture on interspecies combat. While I am sure most of you are anxious to begin your exams and eagerly await your orders and assignments, I ask that you focus your full attention on today's lesson. Over the course of our teaching cycle, you will have noticed that most species tend to behave in somewhat similar and predictable ways. Our lessons have mostly focused on specific cultural variations and combat tactics to give you a small measure of advantage when dealing with certain species. This lecture will focus on humans, and this species must be approached in an entirely different manner. Today I am going to talk about what humans call distress signals and the very human concept of reinforcements. Vorkath, address the assembly on how you would attack a Pirellian battle group when you have superior numbers and weapons. Yes, Chief Instructor Vorkath addresses the assembled as instructed when attacking a Pirellian battle group. When you have numerical and weapon superiority, engage a single target as determined by tactical analysis and destroy it. Then pursue and destroy the nearest fleeing member of the rest of the battle group. Continue to pursue and destroy targets as they become available. When pursuit is no longer possible, transmit all data and await orders. Very good, Vorkath. Senra addressed the assembly on how best to use Tret forces. Yes, Chief Instructor. Senra addresses the assembled as instructed when engaging. Tret forces identify the Tret ship farthest from other Tret ships, engage and destroy. If you have numerical and weapon superiority over a group of Tret ships, engage and destroy. Excellent, Senra. Xantor, address the assembled and explain under what conditions an isolated ship or battle group of any species should not be engaged, assuming numerical and weapon superiority, either in space or in ground combat. Xantor speaks to the lead instructor. Forgive my ignorance, Chief Instructor. I cannot obey as commanded. I am unaware of any circumstance in which an isolated ship or battle group of any species should not be engaged, assuming numerical and weapon superiority, either in space or in ground combat. I demand appropriate reprimands and punishments as the Chief Instructor sees fit for my failure. None will be necessary, Xantor. You may be seated. Your ignorance exists only because we have not yet begun instruction on the final species in our series of lessons. I sincerely apologize for asking a question to which I fully expected no answer. But I felt it necessary to fully illustrate the seriousness of our subject. I suspect that all of you felt that this question was ridiculous. While you obviously could not give any outward indication, I too was once in training, and I sympathize with those who may have wondered if your senior instructor was having a moment of mental deficiency. I assure you I was not. 10 cycles ago, our forces engaged a human battle group. They isolated a Tigris-class cruiser and began bombardment. Our forces had twice the numbers and 10 times the weapons. The entire human battle group held formation and engaged. Within a tenth of a turn, a second human battle group jumped in. What is more, even with the addition of this new battle group, our forces still had numerical superiority and 5-fold weapon superiority. The victory was achieved, but the losses were 20 times greater than the tactical analysis had predicted. 5 cycles later, a Carmack-class cruiser engaged a human merchant ship. Almost immediately, a Tigris-class human battle cruiser jumped into weapons range and engaged our cruiser, destroying it. Drail. I admire your discipline, but I have been teaching long enough to know when a student is struggling to believe. You may address the assembled. Yes, Chief Instructor. Drail addresses the assembly as instructed. Drail is honored to receive instruction from the lead instructor and is grateful for the lessons imparted, which will allow Drail to serve the Empire as a loyal officer of the fleet. Drail knows that the teachings of the lead instructor are true and necessary for this function. Drail. I have no doubt of the sincerity of your words, but in order for our dialogue to best serve the purpose of this lesson, I require your absolute honesty. Therefore, I command you to address this assembly with your true and complete thoughts on what I have just said, and I guarantee no sanction or censure. Further, I command that none of the assembled shall ever repeat your words to anyone not present. I remind the assembled that I have the authority to deem any part of these lessons to be classified at the highest level, and I so designate the remainder of this lecture. Drail, unless your next words are direct treason to the Emperor, you may speak freely with absolute impunity. Insult my parentage if you must, but you will speak openly to those assembled, no matter the pain it may cause you. Yes, lead instructor. Drayle addresses the assembled as instructed. The lead instructor's statements defy all known military doctrine and logic itself. They are reminiscent of tales told by old naval crewmen in a state of intoxication. The Tigris-class battle cruiser is known to be a state-of-the-art warship, and while it is theoretically capable of defeating the Carmack-class cruiser, all space combat carries a significant risk of outcomes other than those assumed based on tactical analysis. The captain of the Tigris-class battlecruiser would be aware of the possibility of losing his ship to well-placed shots to its reactor core, or other tactics known to every fleet captain used to defeat ships superior to his own. Furthermore, the Tigris-class battlecruiser would certainly suffer damage and possible losses, even in the event of a decisive victory or during the retreat of the Carmack-class cruiser. No reasonable captain would risk such a ship to protect a merchant ship. Thank you, Drayle. You speak truthfully and show an admirable understanding of military strategy and tactics. I commend your obedience to orders in the face of discomfort or uncertainty, and such skills will serve you well as a fleet commander one day. You may be seated. I want you all to think about his last statement. No sane captain. Indeed, in our first encounters with humans, it was assumed that many of them were insane, or that their fleets lacked discipline or a proper understanding of strategy and tactics. Indeed, even understanding what we do now, many consider them to be somewhat insane. Even if they are, that does not make them any less dangerous. On the contrary, it makes them more dangerous. I promise to introduce you to the human concept of distress signal and reinforcements. I will do so now. When threatened, either as individuals in their ships or in battle, humans will call other humans to their aid. Furthermore, when alerted to danger, humans tend to converge rather than flee. When faced with defeat, their solution is not automatically to retreat. Often it is to send in more humans. Remember also what Drayle said about outcomes other than those predicted by tactical analysis. With humans, that is an understatement. When you engage humans, you are engaging not only the human targets you have selected, but potentially any other humans who are physically able to join the engagement. Yes, join the engagement. The human term is augmentation. While standard military doctrine states that, when faced with an engagement without significant odds of victory, disengagement is the proper course, and if impossible, partial disengagement should be attempted. Most battles involve initiating an engagement with significant odds of success and inflicting maximum damage while the enemy is retreating. Human combat doctrine is different. Morcar, I acknowledge your request to ask a question. You may address the instructor. Yes, lead instructor. Morcar addresses the instructor as instructed. Morcar is honored and grateful for the opportunity to have his ignorance corrected by the lead instructor, and asks for forgiveness from the instructor and the assembled for interrupting the lecture. Lead instructor. Could the problem of humans summoning additional forces into combat not be solved by jamming communications before or during combat? Excellent question. Morcar. We have tried. Unfortunately, human ships and military units, and even individual members of the species, maintain constant low-level communication signals. Interruption of such signals is automatically interpreted as a distress signal. Even if such jamming is done before a distress signal is sent, it results in the immediate arrival of human forces, often in greater numbers than a normal distress signal. Remember the merchant ship that was defended by a Tigris-class cruiser? Our intelligence has verified an incident involving a malfunctioning communications device on another such ship. An entire subgroup of warships jumped directly into weapons range of the ship within moments of the malfunction, and another group of 3 support ships arrived shortly thereafter. Now let me see if I can predict the next question. Since jump drives and instantaneous subspace communications outstrips scanning capabilities by an almost infinite margin, how can you predict how many humans you can expect to encounter? Short answer, you can't. There is no way to know how many human ships are in range and available to join an engagement. Furthermore, There is no discernible pattern to how humans prioritize what assistance to provide under what circumstances. Sometimes, no help arrives. Sometimes, entire battle groups drop into orbit when a human civilian gets lost in the woods on Amatar. In this example, it is theorized that advanced orbital scanning was requested, and the commander did not want to split his battle group to send a single ship to find the lost human. Nonetheless, when in danger, humans do call other members of their species to their aid. And that aid is often in the form of overwhelming force. In fact, it is codified in both their laws and customs that distress signals must be responded to in some way whenever possible. Humans have even been known to join battles with allied species, whether or not the allied species is seeking a decisive victory or retreating. Whenever you deal with humans, or even friends of humans, you must be prepared for the almost instantaneous arrival of any number of additional forces. You must also expect no retreat. In any engagement with humans, you are encouraged to add a 50% chance of catastrophic defeat to whatever your tactical analysis indicates. You are also encouraged to completely remove the analysis variables related to pursuit in the event of a disengagement. Do not pursue fleeing human ships. You are buying time, and you should expect a battle group to jump in between you and your quarry. A human battle group is never alone. A human ship, any human ship, is never alone. A single human is never alone. If you even detect a possible human on any ship you scan, you should assume you will be engaging a human fleet when you engage that ship. As a final illustration of this principle, I will share with you an intelligence report from less than a cycle ago. A human male on Nomatra visited a local entertainment establishment and became intoxicated. He was approached by 5 local citizens who decided to use violence against him and rob him of his possessions. The human activated a personal distress signal, and an orbiting human cruiser vaporized all 5 from orbit with no actual communication other than the signal. The cruiser received the signal, scanned the source, assessed the situation, acquired targeting locks, and directed its energy weapons to his aid. If this seems like madness that is understandable, it is also a verified fact. I am releasing to you selected battle reports, intelligence briefings, and other data relating to humans. Please review these with full concentration. Remember them. Keep them in your personal data stores for the entirety of your service. Although some are highly classified given the special nature of the human species, I have arranged for clearance for you all to possess these particular data files. The examples I have shared are but a select few of many, and it is important for you to understand the threat to the forces all of you will soon command. Should any of you request private counsel on this matter, it will be granted without question. I ask all of you to set aside any trepidation you may have about making such a request. This is a special case and no record of your request will be noted, and the private counsel session will be completely classified with no records kept in your files. Glory to the Empire. You are dismissed.